Welcome to this explainer. Look, to really grasp the dark, gothic fable we're exploring today, you need to hear it from someone who was actually there. I'm not just your host, I am a survivor. I was the captive apprentice to the architect of glass, and my goal today, to show you the absolute, ultimate danger of trying to escape life's inherent chaos. For years, as his deeply disillusioned apprentice, well, prisoner, really, I watched the architect systematically reject the danger of an authentic, evolving existence. We lived in what he called a perfect climate. It was this hyper-curated, pristine environment where literally nothing unexpected could ever happen. But, it was a massive illusion. We were trapped in his perfect climate, totally mistaking his cage for a throne. He traded the vibrant, terrifying risk of becoming for a dead, protective artifice. Section 1. The Cage of Glass, the Trap of the Cosmic Void. You see, my master was absolutely terrified of the vacuum left by what the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche famously called the death of God. And to escape that cosmic void, he became exactly what Nietzsche warned us about, the last man. It's this cautionary inversion of true human greatness. It's a person who chooses stagnant perfection and absolute comfort over the radical freedom and the risk of actually living. He voluntarily submitted it to the void, completely terrified of the abyss, and chose the so-called safety of stagnation over the dangerous evolution of existence. And I watched him methodically engineer his own doom in 3 distinct tragic stages. First, this all-consuming fear of the meaningless void just took root in his mind. Then, to fight it, he started curating his days into a perfectly flat, horizontal line, wiping out all variables, all risks, absolutely no surprises. And finally, he literally and metaphorically sealed his entire life behind glass. He genuinely believed he was preserving life. But in reality, he was just suffocating the chaos that is absolutely required for living. Section 2. Essence without existence. The existentialist reversal. In his sterile little kingdom, the architect tried to play a god of definition. He wanted to be permanently fixed, so he'd never have to adapt or change again. He engaged in this incredibly morbid practice we can call intellectual salvage. Basically, he treated his own fluid past like dead specimens pinned to felt, capturing moments and drawing them out like pressed flowers under glass. It was a cowardly retreat from radical freedom. He completely rejected the foundational existential truth that existence precedes essence. You have to continuously act and make choices to define yourself. But he wanted the absolute definition without the actual burden of living. And because of that cowardice, he totally missed the cosmic truth of the Übermensch. Let's look at this philologically for a second. The German prefix über means over or beyond. It implies that humanity isn't some final destination. It's an evolutionary bridge. We're defined by continuous self-overcoming, by growth, by transformation. The architect inverted this entirely. He actually chose a dead end instead of the bridge. Section 3. The Master's Bitter Ressentiment. The Herd's Shackle. Now, you might think living in this perfect, static kingdom brought him some kind of peace or tranquility. Nope, not at all. It bred this incredibly toxic, inward-turning bitterness, what Nietzsche called ressentiment. Philologically, the specific French term describes a deep, psychological self-poisoning, way worse than just simple resentment. See, true greatness, the will to power, requires inner mastery over yourself. It's a really challenging internal creative force. But because my master refused that inner struggle, his stagnant energy warped outward. He developed the evil eye, directing this intense, sneering contempt at everyone who is actually out there living, struggling, and failing in the chaotic world outside his glass walls. But let me tell you, that sneering, malice, it was 100% a mask. His disdain for the chaos of others was the exact, precise measure of his hunger for the life he had renounced. He only mocked the danger of the outside world because he was utterly terrified to participate in it. His isolation wasn't some grand triumph, it was a glaring symptom of his profound weakness. Section 4. Ashes of the Cosmic Void. Spiritual Entropy. Look, no closed system can survive forever. As his captive, I had a front row seat to the devastating collapse of his illusion. He really genuinely believed he had captured stars, curated perfect moments, and engineered a flawless climate completely immune to time. But because he tried to hoard the infinite inside the finite, entropic reality took over. His beautifully captured stars and perfectly preserved specimens, I watched them inevitably crumble into gray powder and dust right before his eyes. A suffocating stasis had completely consumed his kingdom. Just imagine the absolute, paralyzing inner terror of that realization. His ultimate shield, the glass itself, was turning to dust. His entire illusion of mastery shattered in one single devastating moment of clarity. His life's work, which he built solely to avoid the messiness of becoming, couldn't stop the decay of time. He rejected becoming for the safety of stagnant perfection, completely sacrificing his existence for a security that never actually existed in the first place. Section 5. The Eternal Grave Dance. The Spirit of Becoming. With his glass kingdom physically crumbling into gray powder around him, there was this violent, unpermissioned return to the chaotic spirit of becoming. And we can really measure his ultimate failure through Nietzsche's heaviest burden, the eternal recurrence. This is the ultimate test of life affirmation, right? Get asked, are you living a life in such a way that you would happily repeat it on an infinite loop for all eternity? For the architect, the answer was a horrifying no. His life wasn't a rich tapestry of experiences, it was literally just one single static, dead moment stretched out forever. Because his existence was merely this repeating loop of self-imposed, sterile isolation, the final, terrifying truth struck him at the very end. The glass wasn't protecting the moment at all, it was suffocating it. This tragic realization led to a frantic, final grave dance among the dust. It was a total chaotic collapse that represented the absolute failure of his life-affirming potential. He died having never truly lived, a complete prisoner of his own false essence. I eventually managed to escape that shattered, dusty kingdom, but honestly, his failures still haunts me. And so, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a rather chilling question. Are you embracing the dangerous, messy evolution of your own authentic existence? Or, like my former master, are you secretly building your own suffocating cages of glass to hide from the chaos of becoming? I want you to think really deeply about that as you step back out into the beautiful, terrifying world today.